Hello ladies and gentlemen, what is going on? It's your boy Iz33. Welcome back to another episode of the Anarchy Analysis Gamecast. Today we're covering the LEC's SO4 and Rogue in a massive matchup as it's bottom of the table versus top of the table after a 2-week break essentially. Coming into this, will we see some big changes out of these rosters as the meta has changed once again as we enter a new patch since last time? Now, as the draft loads up, blue side is Rogue, Schalke is on red. We should be expecting bans towards Yumi, Twitch, Ezreal, good ban, removes some safety out of the bot lane by Rogue. Very strong ban in my opinion because of how the previous game went, so a lot of safety removed already out of the bot lane. Could probably see a Bard ban from Rogue if they want some more safety, but Kalista removed by Schalke, a very strong ADC. They're removing a lot of the ADCs right now. Gilios' Lee Sin has been removed following this up. He played phenomenally well on this against Fnatic and won essentially that game for them. As is a response ban though from Schalke, moving Larsen's one stronger pick for him. It does still leave open the Corki, and we do see Olaf removed, so another high engaged champion is removed. This is very, very good, especially with the Thresh ban coming through. It means that there is literally no safety options that are a big priority for any team at this current stage. Now, the first pick is the Volibear, a very, very strong champion that can be flexed between top and jungle. The response expected here will be that TF, a good roam gaming champion. It has kind of fallen off in this recent patch on 10.14, but there's still champions available like the Trundle. There's a Graves, which is a good option, which Schalke have taken, so two big carries on the Schalke side, and you could expect this split push roam style from Schalke from the first two picks already. Aphelios though is locked in for Rogue, and we should expect the support coming in for Vander here as well, or they pick in their mid laner to go into the TF. Orianna, very solid mid laner, probably one of the best blind pick mid laners bar Azir, so removing that option is huge, and the champion coming in is very, very strong. Now, I don't think we'll see this MF, but that Yumi, because of the recent patches, she's got a little bit of a buff back to her kit. Oh, the Ashe come through. This ties in very nicely with the TF, as you do have that good ability to lock down the champion with the Ashe arrow, and yeah. So, Ornn removed because it's a very safe option for Finn. Finn, who's known to be this week's side top laner, needing that champion removed off the board. We could see a GP ban from Schalke, but Rogue should realistically target the top lane matchup as well as the support pool. But both teams have the same roles essentially open, unless that Volibear is going to go top. Now, Braum ban, it again works very well with the Ashe, as that glacial TFT comp has been nullified. Could see Sejuani locked in, or a Sedge ban from from Rogue, or even Schalke, because it could lock in where that Volibear's going to go, but I wouldn't expect it entirely. But seeing as though Varus was recently nerfed, the Aphelios and Ashe are still quite up there in terms of power. GP removed, again, it's a solid top laner for Finn that he's played quite well on through the entirety of the split, so removing that is a very big thing. The Bard removal, again, that is a good tool because Ashe realistically doesn't have that much movement, and the way Schalke is setting up, they want to roam and get engages, so Bard's one of them champions that can enable that with a lot more ease, so removing the champion is great by Rogue. But what is good with an Ashe is the Nautilus. When the Ashe arrow hits, it's very easy to land the Nautilus combo with the ult, with his Q, with his passive. It's very, very strong amount of CC for this Schalke side, considering they also have the gold card now. Now, Renekton is a strong option here. I would expect it locked in, and it is. It's a champion that can actually do a lot of work, and Rogue, realistically, are drafting quite strong here. Now, I'd expect maybe a Karma, maybe the Leona. Leona would be a good option. I mean, technically Yumi is open, but I doubt it will be picked. And Leona is very good into Naught, because Leona essentially can just go over the top of Nautilus, who wants to Dredgeline. Dredgeline basically pulls targets together. That's essentially how Naught works. So Leona going over the top of him, essentially it nullifies sort of the engage from Nautilus, and as such, it's a very strong counterpick for Rogue. However, the Urgot is going to be locked in top side into a Renekton. This is quite strong for the Urgot, because he should be winning this matchup, because he has got a lot of engage. The only issue I do have with the Schalke draft currently right now is there's a lot of AD damage. They're only really relying on the TF for AP, and TF as a whole doesn't do that much damage in team fights, because he's just throwing out his Q, which doesn't do too much. And as a whole, if you're Schalke, you want to be looking to split push. You're going to be wanting to get the roam game early and actually, hopefully, pick off members on the Rogue side, as there is not too many safe options for Rogue. The only movement tools that Rogue have is the slice and dice out of the Renekton, the ult from Volibear, and then the Orianna speed boost. There isn't many other options for them. So, we load onto the Rift, and already we see Rogue setting up this level 1 play around the bot lane, probably expecting the sort of roam in from a Nautilus. However, it's not going to come in, and so Rogue are just going to reset their actual positions, set up for the first buff spawn, and yet the ward gets placed there so that Nautilus or any invade can come through realistically from the Schalke side. Now, Larson, we see roaming up as the topside map looks to be the focus for Rogue here, as they're setting up for the blue buff take for the Volibear, whereas Schalke is looking to set up a late invade, though it will be spotted out here by this ward, and there we go, it's spotted. The ward gets cleared, and they're not going to progress any further. It's going to... I don't know if they placed a ward. No, they did not place a ward down in that bot lane. Though we do see Schalke sneaking away the blue buff, or it was in vision, and the Rogue team don't want to contest this early game power from the Urgot and Graves, and so they decide to roam down and go towards his red buff. But this great early game from Schalke is actually being set up by the Graves, as he's already cleared out quite a lot of the jungle for Rogue in that top side, and as such it kind of forces the Volibear to roam from his blue side jungle all the way to the enemy's red jungle, blue jungle, and as such he's going to get this stolen away, and he won't get as many camps, I don't think, unless he does take the Gromp. He will take the Gromp. He's going to smite it, get his health back a little. And what we're going to see here is Graves is probably looking to 3-buff here. He wants to obviously skip Raptors, go check if blue's cleared, and if it is, he'll probably go take Wolves. Now, if he doesn't do that, there may be a contest for this Scuttle down the bot side, but it hasn't spawned yet. But Wolfcamp is taken, and Raptors hasn't been taken here. So Volibear's going to get basically a vertical jungle trade with the Graves, so this is overall pretty good. As we do see topside, the Urgot doing work, as he's already picked up a 10 CS difference, which is huge, though he almost loses that trade to the Renekton. But what we're going to see here is a possibility of a mid lane gank as the flash comes out from the Volibear and dies first blood. No respect from the TF as he flashes quite late and as such gets punished. And oh, that feels bad if you're the Greys, as you just lose out the Scuttle Crab to a Aphelios. Yikes. Schalke already on the back foot right now as we see the mid lane is reset. Tier already picked up here for the Orianna, which is huge, and this is going to be quite bad for Schalke through the rest of the early game, as they're actually getting double scuttled. One by Volley, one by Aphelios. This is huge as Gilios will start to fall behind, though he will take the Raptor camp here, even though Volibear does have his Raptors available to him. And wow, this is huge by Rogue. So this is going to be quite a rough early game for Schalke right now. Is the mid lane kill gives a lot of power over to Larsen, and with the Urgot top lane you can't realistically go for the dive onto Renekton, and the bot lane is pretty safe for Rogue, as they do have a lot of engage tools for themselves to kind of counteract the Schalke engage. Though, be expected at level 6 for this TF to start properly roaming and looking for a play that bot side map, because they could punish the positioning of how Rogue are setting up this bot lane. Now, Gilius is looking for a gank towards topside, as the E from the Urgot doesn't miss, so there isn't going to be any follow-up, and as such the engage is going to come out bot side as a big trade coming out, as the Aftershock does get procced by Nautilus, as Shockwave is used mid-wave. The Volibear might dive, but he isn't needed. Only use the E, and that is going to be a big engage, as we do see more trading in the bot lane. Cleanse is used as the Ignite gets popped onto Hansama, as the Ashe is going to almost kill off the Aphelios, and this is quite huge as the Volibear has already roamed down. Vanda lands the Xeris Blade onto the Ashe, and it doesn't matter as she's just going to get popped by Inspired, and Nautilus is probably going to follow. He is not going to die here, narrowly surviving this fight. And wow, Rogue are on a tear early game. As we do look at this mid lane play again, what we see is the vision is already cleared out by the Volibear. Flash forward into Shockwave as he hits level 6, and the E lowers the health bar of the mid laner, and boom, he's dead. As we look at his bot lane trade, we do see a bit of over-aggression from this Ashe onto the Aphelios. She thinks that he can kill him, but oh wow, here comes the bear. Wow. Xeris Blade lands perfectly onto the Ashe. She gets hit by it, stunned up. Nautilus is having to flash away. Ashe hasn't got a flash anymore because of the over-aggression onto the Aphelios. And bish bash bosh, 3 kills on Rogue, 0 on Schalke. This game is looking pretty bad, as the bounty is on the bear already. And it looks like Rogue are looking to repeat onto this mid lane, but expect the jungler to roam down to this Drake pit as it is open. This should be a pretty easy Drake for Rogue here, and there's not much more can be said, as we do see the Aphelios hitting level 6. This is a big power spike for him, as that variation of the Moonlight Vigil can come out, and oh boy, this is going to be quite a hard game for Schalke to win at this stage. So, there goes the Infernal Drake. Rogue take the blue buff as well in that play, meaning this Orianna is going to be very safe. And because of the pathing of the Graves, he's going to have to walk and try and take the enemy blue buff. But knowing this, you'd expect Rogue to obviously wrap around and pincer him into his basically death. And as such, we may see Rogue actually giving this up here. So Gilius is gonna obviously take it, as he's luckily got there before the pincer from Rogue come through, as Rogue have already reset for this Rift Herald. And I think Schalke should give up this Rift Herald to Rogue, because don't have enough sort of pressure on the map to actually contest it. So, essentially, this Herald should go over to Rogue. Hawkshot will spot the Volibear going to take it. And because there's already 4 members here, it's essentially a free buff to Rogue here. There's no real contest. And as such, it's going to be pretty bad for Schalke, as that's going to be used to chip away at turret plates. I'd expect it drop possibly mid, because Larson is essentially quite far ahead right now. So keeping him ahead would be a huge thing, especially against the TF, who late game's going to be an absolute split push menace, so they need to be able to deal with that. So here comes the Volibear, already looking to gank him, has got the Ori Orb on him already, so he would have been able to run him, hit him with the stun, and then immediately get Shockwave off. So yeah, big amount of respect there from Abadage, as he just walks away before it happens. So the sad thing is, we look at this comp for Schalke right now. They have a comp that's meant to be roaming, looking for engages, picking off members, as Xerathblade is used topside, as they're looking to pop out the Dreams Nautilus there, but he's just too tanky, and as such, he's essentially able to just walk away. All that was popped was the actual not Death Charge, the Solar Flare, and an attempt at the bot lane gank just gets stopped, as the way Schalke are wanting to play this have just been nullified by Rogue, as that great TP from the Orianna to respond to the Destiny means that they get nothing out of this play, as the possibility of it, as nothing realistically changes in terms of stats. Level progression wise, Orianna is sitting about a 1/8 of a level above Odoamne at level 9, and closely followed behind him is Abadage. So this is a very tight game in terms of levels. Item wise, we do see the Archangel's staff being stacked up by the Orianna into basically no items. I guess the Dark Seal and the Catalyst aren't too big, but there is obviously the Mercury Treads, which is great into the Shockwave, as it just removes a lot of the CC duration. But a good thing that we're seeing here is Schalke are setting up for this Cloud Drake, meaning that they take the Scuttle Grab, meaning they'll have vision of the area for when it actually spawns. So this is actually huge for them, as they're able to possibly look to contest it. Good thing is, Depth Charge will be available, as the possibility of a dive here onto the Ashe is huge, as the Aphelios' root happened. He wasted the cleanse here, and wow, great engage there by the Aphelios, as it does burst out the cleanse and the flash from the Ashe for basically an auto attack. Great work there by Rogue, lying in wait, and they're keeping the vision of Schalke minimal, and the Cloud Drake is now spawned. We could expect a fight here as Graves is looking to set up vision, and a TP is going to come in from TF to obviously apply pressure onto the mid lane, as Larsen can't actually deal too much damage to this TF as he has very little mana, as Schalke are just going to burn down this dragon. And good work there by the SO4 team, as the Herald is spawned in the mid jungle, and they're looking to obviously get this mid turret, as they're not going to get any plating because it is just fallen. This is actually quite bad of a use of the Herald, as they're basically not going to get anything off of the entire play, as they're not trading Drake for anything. They're just trading Drake for mid tower damage, which is not too good considering that was the first Herald and it was used after plating, sorry. So looking at things as a whole, Black Cleaver online for the Urgot, as the Cull is being stacked by the Renekton. Jungle, it's a boot difference basically. Volibear has his Ninja Tabby, Graves doesn't. Rod of Ages has finally been picked up by TF, so that is one big power spike for him. Expect him to probably go for the Lichbane second. And yeah, not much I could expect to see now for next 3 minutes, as there's not much to be contested for right now. So yeah, one big thing to note is Schalke have actually picked up a gold lead here over Rogue, as essentially the tempo that Rogue set at the early game has kind of fallen off, as they've just basically kept everything going, as we do see this Ash Arrow going wide and the depth charge missing. Only thing that lands is the ultimate from Nautilus, and Solar Flare is used onto Naut, forcing his stopwatch, and that should be a dead Naut here. And Ori picks up the kill here. Dominus is already available on the Renekton as he's diving onto that TF. The gold card is used. The flash forward from the Volibear knocks him down. Great engage here by Rogue as they pick up that gold lead once more, as a very good execution on the punishment, punishing the engage from Schalke onto the Volibear. And the great thing here is, if you were Schalke, you realistically overcommitted once the Ashe essentially missed. They were not going to be able to get anything out of that, and realistically should have disengaged, went out, backed away, and gave up the play. Now, interestingly, Hansama off of that play does pick up the Infinity Edge, which is huge for him, as that is a big power spike in the Aphelios kit. Probably looking to build up the Hurricane now to get that massive amount of tools and utility on the champion unlocked. And then we'll expect maybe the Death Stance third for this Aphelios. Now Herald does fall and go over to the Rogue jungler, as the mid lane turret is going to fall here, and TP coming in from Ori yet again. This is a exact same play as what we saw earlier, as Larsen just responds to the Destiny by TPing in. These plays by Schalke essentially are coming way too late. They're essentially not getting too much out of it, as Finn is playing a pretty much weak side top lane. He's down 30 CS and he's still staying alive. He has got the assist to his name, so he has got a bit of gold in his pocket. But top side map, one turret's already fallen. The Herald might get a second charge off. No, it won't. And a bit of chip damage onto the turret, as Dominus has actually been used in the bot side by the Renekton into that TF matchup. So what's essentially happening is we're still waiting for the Drake, as Larsen is sneaking away this blue buff on the Schalke side, which is a huge thing for him. We have seen that the Scuttlecrab has gone over to Rogue, so this Drake realistically should go over to them, no contest, unless the Ash Arrow is used effectively. I don't think Schalke will go in here onto Rogue. Now, Drake is not going to be contested here, as we do see Larsen going quite aggressive onto this TF. He has flash forward, Shockwave gets stopwatched, and the Ash Arrow goes wide, and nothing comes out of this play except the probability of this bot lane turret falling. So, a good disengage out of them as a solar flare lands perfectly onto the TF. He doesn't have the stopwatch, he is down, and Rogue are gonna push into this tier 2 turret. No contest. Very nicely done here by Rogue, punishing the essentially over push from the TF, who just gets caught out. Like, you should realize that the Rogue team are roaming in order to provide a bit of protection to the to the mid laner and the top laner who are taking a turret. So, great proactive plays coming out of Rogue here in this mid game, as what we should expect to see is a huge amount of scaling coming out of this team comp. And Spellbinder has been picked up here for the Ori, who has got a 450 gold bounty. And look at the CS difference in mid. It is a lot more than what there is in the top lane. And when you're playing a TF, you kind of should be expected to have a CS lead against Nori, because you're meant to be going for plays, as we are seeing Rogue doing a very early Baron that is spotted out by Schalke with the Hawkshot, and Schalke aren't responding to this. This is going to be Baron going over to Rogue, as there's literally no contest coming out of Schalke here. Hawkshot was used, they've already used Destiny, and they've finally stopped it, but the Solar Eclipse does land onto TF, and because they know he hasn't got anything in terms of tools, Dominus is popped, and they're trying to focus down Hans Hammer. Ash Arrow does hit the Renekton, but nothing else is going to come from this, and good disengage out of Rogue here means that Schalke get nothing, as the Rogue team who baited the Baron gets nothing. Good steal of the red buff there, as Volibear is running through the jungle to try and catch out the Greys. We are seeing deep TPs coming out from Rogue, as they have caught out the Ashe. He has no mana, cleanse and flash pop. The root from the Sun Summer has killed him off, or he picks up the kill here. Great in claps and engage from Rogue, as we should expect them to turn to Baron here. But oh, nice timing there on the TP back by Nautilus. If he was caught there, he would probably be dead. And yeah, Rogue slowly but surely keeping this 7-0 growing, as they're picking up more and more kills. Ori Ball used to get vision there, very nicely done, and that is the Hurricane picked up for the Aphelios. Very, very big in terms of team fight damage that's going to be able to be pumped out. Dead Man's Plate picked up for Inspired, which is a bit more mobility on a champion that loves to run through team fights. And yeah, this is actually looking very, very good for Rogue. They're in a very strong position. Yes, it is technically only a 2k gold lead, but they still have control of this game. And Rogue are just not allowing Schalke to play their game here at all. Some of the spells have already been burnt in that last fight by Rogue. You look at some of the spell difference. Only Hans Sammer and Vander do not have flash. the rest of the team does. Whereas you look at the side of Schalke, yes, Dreams does have Hex Flash, but he doesn't have normal Flash. Neon has not got Flash. Gilius does not have Flash. And Odawamne does have Flash. So this is a very, very strong part of the game for Rogue, as they should control the map. They are going to siege this mid lane turret, and there will be no follow-up to this play. They're just going to walk away, clear the minions that are pushing up. Obviously, the Hurricane's going to clear the wave quite quickly, especially with the red gun and the white gun combo. Though we are going to see the split push finally being started by TF, who's in the top side looking for that tier 2 turret. Rogue, though, are setting up for this third Drake of theirs getting on Soul Point. But there's a possibility here for Schalke to actually rush Baron. Might not happen, in my opinion, because Ashe is obviously back into base. The Mountain Drake is going to fall and go over to Rogue, and yeah. Small opportunity there for Schalke to make a little proactive play, but nothing's going to come from it except they're going to lose a Drake. Now, the only issue if they did go for that play was realistically, if they die there, they're giving over probably Baron to Rogue, as well as possibility of all their base falling. But they're in a situation, if you're Schalke, you need to make a play, as they're just getting pushed further and further behind by Rogue, who are controlling more and more of the map. As we are going to see a little trade onto the Graves, as he is hit by this Lunar Eclipse. The Shockwave does only hit onto the Nautilus as the backline dive coming in from Odawamne. He is going to pick up one onto the Aphelios. Down goes the Leona to follow it up, but Leona does trade off the kill. And we are going to see the possibility of a continuation of the dive as TF is looking to come behind him. Graves is with him. Ashe is full health and available for the fight. Ori, though, is slowly but surely chipping away at the health bar of TF, and he is going to get flashed on. Down goes TF. Nautilus hooks onto the Volibear, and the follow-up from the Renekton is just going to kill off the Naut, and this is terrible, as the possibility killing that Renekton is quite low. He is actually going to kill him. Graves picks up the kill, but we are going to see, in the overall extent of the fight, a 3-4-3? 3-for-3, as TP is going to come in from the Urgot, looking to run down Larson. And yeah, he isn't going to get anything out of this. He's just trying to force the ult, as the ultimate from the Urgot only hits onto Vanda. If he did hit that onto the Ori, she was more than certainly dead, but it misses. And wow, that is a good fight if you're Schalke, as you manage to pick up your first 3 kills of the game. As we look at the damage shots for that last fight, Graves went off, as he essentially was able to just carry. But if we look at that fight as a whole, it was pretty bad towards the end if you're Schalke, as you essentially just gave over 2 kills to Rogue in that end of the fight, and 1 kill at the start to the Leona. But essentially, all that was gained for Rogue was some kills and a bit of gold. And the same thing on the Schalke side, though it is a lot more worthwhile if you're Schalke. As we look at this replay, we see positioning wise a big contest towards this red buff. The Shockwave doesn't manage to kill Gilius or puck him in. It only gets onto Dreams, as the Solar Eclipse caught him just out of range. The Urgot ult kills off Aphelios, and essentially what ends up happening is the Urgot gets traded off by the burn damage from the Leona Ignite. The rest of the fight is just pretty disengagey, as Ashe is trying to focus onto the one. Volibear commits quite heavily onto the TF to kill him off, and he does. And then it's just Renekton managing to peel the fight as he just kills off the support of Schalke, and because the Volibear has got the extra movement speed as well as the Oriana, they're not going to be the prime target for Schalke. So essentially what ends up happening is they go for the easy kill there, as Shockwave does land onto Nautilus. He does force the hook out though, as a big trade bot side. Dominus is propped, and Destiny is forced to be used by TF to get out of that fight. Great fight there by Finn to obviously keep the TF behind, and it does mean that these minions on the bot side will have to be answered by Schalke, as Finn should be able to just push this up to the turret. Now, 20 seconds till this Mountain Drake and a possible Mountain Soul for Rogue, as Schalke have not got any vision set up at all for this bot side map, meaning it's quite hard for them to actually contest this, as Rogue could be sat anywhere, and down goes 2 control wards by Schalke to secure vision in that brush, as the blue trinket is used to obviously see the Rogue are on this, and a good engage out of the Leona does not land the Solar Eclipse. The Mountain Soul is secured here for Volibear, and down comes Hansama landing the Gravitums. Out comes a big Volibear roll. Shockwave lands, hits onto 2. Down goes the Nautilus, down goes the Urgot, and the re-engage from Rogue has essentially kept this fight going. Great Gravitum coming out of the Hansama as it forces a cleanse and a flash out of the Ashe once again, and yeah, expect the Ashe to be killed off here as Renekton just runs him down, and he already picks him off with the last strike from her orb. Hansama is slowly running down the Graves as the Renekton and Volibear have caught up to him. This is a dead Graves, and wow, the only thing that's gonna come out with this play for Schalke is the mid lane turret. Everything else is going to fall as Rogue managed to take the Mountain Soul. They're going to get this Baron without a contest due to the jungler being down. And yeah, great fight out by Rogue there. And as a whole, this is going to be very, very important, as they should be looking to siege the base of Schalke off this play. So this game is pretty bad at this stage, as Death Stance does though come out for Urgot, which is huge for him because it allows him to heal a bit more in team fights. It's essentially the mini Aphelios red build. But look at the Aphelios and the Oriana. 15k on the Oriana. He's pretty much full build. He's 7 kills up. Wow, if you're going to be facing him, you're going to probably die, as Volibear is looking to run down onto the Graves. Shockwave lands, and the Solar Eclipse isn't even needed. And down goes the Graves, down goes the mid lane tier inhib turret, and the inhibitor's falling. This looks like the game here for Rogue, as they're just going to push into the Nexus turrets. Down comes the TP from Renekton. This is looking to be the end of the fight, as we do see Nautilus engage here. He is going to be locked up though, as Volibear is peeling off to the side onto the TF. TF is forced to stopwatch, and wow, he is going to fall. Nexus turrets in the sight of Rogue now, as one of them's already fallen, and wow, this is looking to be it. Not much can be done here, as Urgot realistically cannot deal with this. Down goes the second Nexus turret. Out comes the Moonlight Vigil, the Inferno version, burns down the Ashe, and this is going to be game, as Urgot is staring into 5 members. Shockwaves used. It doesn't even matter. They've already died. They're out. That is game to Rogue. What an amazing matchup here by them, showing the team strength and why they're sitting at the top of the table. Very nicely done by the boys in blue, and oh my, what a clean game by Rogue. There wasn't much given over to Schalke at all, and anything that happened, it was just counteracted by Rogue. So overall, a very, very strong performance by them, and I'm actually impressed how they played. Oriana, phenomenal play by Larson the entirety of the game. He was uncontested for most of it. TF was essentially null and void. He didn't manage to do much at all. He was essentially just fodder. And he didn't realistically make it to the split push threat stage, as he was just killed off and reacted to very, very nicely by Rogue. Oh boy, this is a very strong game. Schalke still sit on 1 win for the season. They're not going to get on to the 2. And Rogue sit on 8 wins. And this is a huge point, because I do believe we're going to see Rogue probably making playoffs at this rate and doing well. Anyway, that's great for this actual game cast. If you enjoyed it, leave a like down below, subscribe if you're new around here if you want to, and I will see you guys later. Peace out.